David Usher, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to. Thank you so much.
Every time we say we're going to see each other, every year we say that and we never do, but
I know.
this is for a good cause.
This is our meeting spot.
Exactly. I heard you talk a few days ago and I was in shock. What I learned was not music to my ears. Can you tell me about it?
Well, I run a creative studio called the Human Impact Lab. And we work at the intersection of art, technology, and data, and really trying to bring modern storytellers, the artists, the designers, game developers, interactive programmers, to reimagine the story of climate change. And so when you research the idea of 2 degrees, if the global temperature, average global temperature reaches 2 degrees, that's when things start to get very difficult for the Earth and for the humans living on the Earth. But if you look online, there's a lot what happens at 2 degrees, but there's very little about when it's going to happen. And so my lab, we started looking at this problem, and we partnered with Dr. Damon Matthews, who's a climate scientist from Concordia University. And with a group of scientists, they calculated when 2 degrees is going to happen. And that's actually in 28 years. Exactly. We've built a projection clock, right? So it's being projected now all around the world. We have projections in many different countries, and it also lives online as an iframe, so it's being spread on different websites. So the idea is to put this concept of time into people's minds, so that's a new way to measure climate change.
When you started working on the Countdown 2 Degree Climate Clock, how did your perspective change?
It's a shock to realize that 2 degrees is that close, but what's even more shocking is that in order to prevent us from reaching it, all the change that we need to do have to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. If we don't do the change now, it's almost impossible to stop that inflection point, that accelerating curve. We don't measure our lives in temperature, we measure our lives in time, in years. Yeah. We know how old we'll be in 28 years, but especially, more importantly, we know how old our kids will be in 28 years.
But it's like announcing the Armageddon. What is going to happen?
What 2 degrees represents is the place where it becomes much more difficult to stop all the terrible effects of climate change. We have to be realistic about where we are. And the first part of that is to start to quantify, make the metrics relatable.
And the website it's quite fantastic because the message is scary, is awakening, and at the same time it's very poetic. You made it poetic.
Thank you.
Why is that so?
Because when you're making messages that you want people to understand and that will resonate, when you mix them, that's why my company, it's about mixing art, technology, and data. You can't just talk about data. You know, climate scientists have been talking about this the same way for 20 years.
Right.
We need to engage this new breed of storyteller to tell the story in new ways, innovative ways, to think about the problem and the solutions in different ways.
You're a musician, you're also a writer, you wrote that amazing book about creativity, Let the Elephants Run. Is that your best work of art?
I'm proud of the book and I'm also proud of the clock, but as an artist, I think you always have to believe that your best work is ahead of you and you're in that desperate search.
Because you're writing an album right now.
I'm finishing a record right now, I'm working on a new book, but mostly what I'm working on is these social impact ideas. Yeah.
So we're going to see you on tour. This is the weirdest question to ask
to
someone who's talking about the, not the end of the world, but it's not how I want it to be perceived.
Yeah.
But it's still a warning.
Yes.
But you're still going to be on tour this summer.
I'm working on this crazy record right now that takes, because we really do live in a world, especially in Quebec, of these 2 solitudes, right? So there's this amazing world of modern Quebec singers that the rest of Canada and the English-speaking world generally have not ever heard of. And so I'm partnering with artists like Alex Nevsky, but a whole bunch of different Quebec singers. Alex Nevsky, Mono Grenade.
Thank you for asking.
And with their latest hits, and I'm doing their songs, but I've translated them into English.
Okay.
And I'm using their original tracks and singing their songs in English.
So you don't want to sing Bye Bye?
I'm singing Bye Bye as of today. But it's already an English part of it.
Yeah, right. So you know those words.
That's right.
Thank you so much,
Thank
David
you.
Usher.